So today at Speedy's Garage, I'm going to show you some parts that just came in. I wanted to spruce up the engine bay in Project Go Man Go a bit for car shows and whatnot. I went online and looked around, looked at possibly pulling the coil pack covers, those plastic covers on the sides of the engine off and painting them, or prepping them and painting them myself, and I actually found some parts from JLT Performance over here in this box. The price was right, and I actually thought it was probably a little bit cheaper than even I could do it myself by the time I went and bought the paint and the clear and the special primer that would be required. So let's open the box and see how they look. All right, a koozie. Always use those in the shop. Decal, obviously here's the coil pack cover. Another goodies in here. All right, so they're obviously very well packaged, which you would hope they would be considering they're clear coated. Curious to see how these turn out. Oh wow, so there you go. That is very high quality work, I gotta say. I chose the silver metallic for the stripes and the lettering, and Go Man Go as the color for the paint. They obviously do several coats of clear because they're extremely shiny, and they even have a little bit of weight to them. You can tell there's quite a few coats of paint on there. I'm really curious how in the world they actually painted, try to get where you can see that. How did they paint down inside the letters and then keep the silver on top? I don't know how they did that. Had to have been some kind of two-step process, but if you think about it, the stripes would have been a little bit easier because you could take this off and maybe spray it or even pinstripe it and do it by hand, and then cover this and then do the orange. Same with the Hemi, but when you have a debossed, I guess is what you call that area, that means the paint probably had to be sprayed on, the orange had to be sprayed on here first, and then somehow they had to come back and either mask off the deboss area, or I can't imagine they did this by hand. It's too smooth and too perfect. It had to have been sprayed. So if you're a painter and you have an idea how they did that, leave me a comment. I am really curious how they did that, because it is absolutely perfect paint. It's fully covered, there's full coverage, there's no gaps in there. That's gonna look really, really good on the car. Here's the second one. Just make sure it's the same. No reason it wouldn't be. Yeah, identical, same quality, excellent, excellent paint work. Those are gonna look really good on the car. And there it is from a color match perspective, pretty much dead on. I ordered the Go Man Go color to match the car, as I said earlier, with the metallic silver accents. But before we install those, Go Man Go's been working hard lately. He's been to a couple of drag racing events and has won some of those for me. So quite frankly, he's earned himself a spa day. So now that Go Man Go's had his spa day, tucked away back in the shop, we're gonna go ahead and install the engine covers. Now this is probably one of the most difficult projects you'll ever undertake. If you don't know what you're doing, make sure you hire a professional to take care of this for you. We're gonna start by popping the hood. And the hood release should be pretty obvious. Oh, hello, beautiful. Okay, next, I'm just gonna gently lift off the factory covers, and I'll show you, they've got a couple of little rubber grommets on them. There's two, and those go to a couple of posts on the valve cover itself, and so that's how they just pop off, really easy. Same thing for the driver's side. Oh, I have to take this out of the way. Actually, I'm gonna take this whole thing out of the way. Okay, before I install the JLT painted coil pack covers, I'm going to hit the grommets with just a little bit of white lithium grease. This probably isn't required, but I'm going to do it just to make sure, number one, that they're easy to install. It'll make these little grommets much easier to snap over those little stubs I showed you earlier, and also it'll make them easier to remove them if I ever need to do maintenance in the future. You might be tempted to use WD-40 for this. I would not recommend WD-40. WD-40 is a penetrant. So what that means is it's designed to kind of work its way into tight spaces, and as part of that I think it evaporates over time. So I'm just going to use a little bit of white lithium grease, and it'll maintain its lubricity, $5 word, over time if I ever need to take these off again. So I figured the passenger side is going to go on no problem. The driver's side, it's a little tight and we've got some sharp edges, so I'm going to practice with the original. It's not painted, and see where I'm going to have trouble. It's pretty tight right here where the power steering cap is, so I'm going to go ahead and take that off too to give me a little bit more clearance. We're going to have to watch this because that'll scratch the paint. I think if we pull back, yeah, that's how we're going to do it. Okay, so I'm going to be real careful. That was easy. Our cap's back on. Okay, now we're going to do the passenger side, which should be a piece of cake. So that is exactly what I was looking for. Just a subtle touch to kind of set the engine bay off a little bit more and make it match the car. Looks fantastic. The quality of those coil pack covers is phenomenal. Very thick clear coat, makes the paint look deep. Very happy with that. So here's the engine bay before, and here it is after. Big improvement. So obviously I was being sarcastic when I said this was a difficult project. It literally takes about 5 minutes. Pop the old covers off, pop the new ones on, and you're done. Passenger side, super easy. Driver side, remove your oil fill cap and the power steering reservoir cap to give you a little bit more clearance. Be careful, watch what you're doing with your painted covers, and you'll be just fine. So if you want to spice up your engine bay, I suggest you check out JLTTrueColdAir.com to see what other items they have for your particular vehicle. The fact that they use an actual Dodge paint code to make sure you get an exact match was kind of pertinent to me, and that's the reason I went with them for these particular covers. I thought about doing it myself, and by the time I bought the clear, the paint, the special primer that would be required, the activator and all that stuff, even though I have the air compressor and the paint gun, it still would have cost me more to do it that way than just order them pre-made from JLT Performance, so that's what I did. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit subscribe in the bottom right hand corner. Also check out my website, www.speedysgarage.net, for other information, and I hope to see you out there.